Hey, Emo Geeks. This week on Feedback Friday, we have our first guest spot, so let's jump right in.
I'm Stephen Sayer. I'm email CRM at Mainline Menswear.
He's been super active on the Email Geek Slack community, so we're really hyped for him to give some of his thoughts about how this email could become really good. Hey, Stephen. So what do you like about this email? I think we both sort of like it, but there are parts that are not 100%.
Overall, the layout of it's great. I mean, usually with retail email marketing, it's mostly about the products, whereas this one's just completely different. It's focusing on lifestyle images. I quite like the way some of them are framed with other images in the background. The overall layout's really good. It's clean, it's nice, but...
It's long, too. Wow.
Yeah, it's very long, which is my next point, because the call to action's right at the bottom.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer.
So if you just open the email and just having a quick scroll through, if you're on your morning commute or evening commute home, you don't really get the full gist of it. You get the text at the top, which this is all one image, and it doesn't have any alt text either. So if you don't have images enabled, it's just a blank little box.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's like a 9,000 pixel long image.
Yeah, pretty heavy. I mean, crazy. The file size isn't too bad. It's sitting at 3.5 megabytes. Wouldn't take too long to download if you had your images enabled, but it is a pretty hefty image to scroll through.
Well, a lot of the email marketing that we've seen, especially when it comes to fashion brands, you might be able to speak better to this too, but when you're promoting something like this of new products or like a new line of clothing, like how do you kind of show that without, just doing this? Because I feel like most design teams would just lay this out and slice that image and they're good to go. So like, why do you not think that's an email, or why do you think that's not like best practice, I guess?
The thing about best practice is you've got to take all devices into account. So this example where it's just one massive image, there's no live text. So this image will be shrunk down on mobile. The text will become hard to read. This would easily be able to be set up as live text. Looking at the code itself within the email, it is calling for classes and what looks to be responsive. It looks like it's a responsive template, but in the actual head, there's media query styles tag, but there's no actual media queries in it itself. There is some Outlook specific MSO tags. That's about it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's actually like responsive. Even the image scaling, it just is going to auto scale.
Yeah, but the code itself that has been used, the styles hold the fallbacks, so like your typical Outlook bug fixes, so the MSO tables and the width and height. It's just a strange way of setting it out, really. By the looks, it's just been created by a in-house, maybe drag and drop tool. Like someone in the design team's been asked to send this out pretty quickly, and it's just a case of dropping image in.
Gotcha. So would you suggest like slice and dicing this into more images, or maybe bring up that CTA to the top of the email? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's not necessarily a need to slice and dice. If you had all these images separately, I'm a big fan of using tables. I know there's a few people out there that prefer the hybrid method that use divs, but in a case like this, I would literally, if this was the PSD that was handed to me, I would literally break it down into rows and columns. So for instance, this top part of text, this would just be maybe one or two rows. I typically put the font styling in on the table cells themselves. I will have the idle man as one row, then maybe a spacer, then lead with the determined to provide the man poorly served by menswear and so forth, text in there. And then it's just a case of having your layout, so having spaces down each side and then the big image in the middle. And it's just a case of just doing that all the way down, really.
Yeah, I think that top section could be live text for sure. I wonder if the Idleman is at their logo. Is that what it is, or do you know?
I'm not sure. It just looks like a normal standardized font, to be honest.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that. Let me see if we can open up their site. Yeah, but yeah, kind of confusing. Yeah, what I guess what you're. It doesn't even look like it's really their logo at all. So.
No, and if you go onto the website, it's a completely different font.
Yeah, that's kind of strange to me. I don't know about that. Their logo, I think that their white logo, that white would have looked nice. So what are your thoughts on maybe like bringing some interactive elements into this email, even like a carousel or something? I know that's not always the most popular thing, but it could work for some of these.
I reckon a carousel could shorten this email down quite a lot because there's a few full size images. So what is there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 5 pretty big full scale images, followed by some that are just slightly smaller. So those 5 images, although some of them are just scenery, could easily be put into a carousel. Yeah, shortened down.
Yeah, even maybe some of these like 3 images that rotate like as a GIF or something too could be kind of cool, and just shorten it up a little.
Yeah, the thing is with GIFs are limited to 256 colors. As long as the images are similar in color, you still can keep the high quality there.
It does feel a little long.
Yeah, it does feel a bit long to sit and scroll through. I mean, there is no call to actions. Like I say, with it being one big image, they've wrapped a link around it. So no matter where you click, you will click through to a landing page. But I do feel like even if they just go part way down and just have a button that says shop the look or view the full range, just different call to actions. What about your thoughts? Where would you put the call to actions if you had free reign on this?
Definitely include the brand's logo, because I feel like right when you open up the email, that sort of top of mind awareness is good. Fashion brands always seem to have whimsical copy about, like this is the best clothing. It's a little tricky, so I would definitely just include an image, like a GIF, hopefully under 1 megabyte, that goes through 3 or 4 different images, and then include some more text in the email, so it kind of brings your eyes down the rest of the email. So maybe like add some additional text to kind of make you curious about what this is about. And then the CTA could still be at the bottom, maybe, but just maybe not as far down.
Yeah.
Trying to like bring in some additional text, maybe bring in some of the descriptors of the actual items shown in the shots so people maybe have a better idea. I mean, I guess it is a lookbook, but still. And then the shop all, pretty standard, but I wonder if there's like shop season or shop something else that maybe describes a little bit more about like what this release is about. Or
yeah, well, I'm looking at the landing page that you click through to, and instead of just having plain your generic studio shot photo of a jacket, there are the same models wearing the piece of clothing in the same setting. So it is a landing page that does link to the email. So you still have that experience. So you've seen these lifestyle shots of them in the forest, and you click through and you have some of what they're wearing directly on the click through, and then it's just other looks.
Having like there's a big white border around the whole email, and I wonder if you made like the entire background the same color as like the main part of the email, that dark. I think that would look a little bit better. I feel like that's like a weird thing that we see a lot, where people like have the white wrapper around everything, but I think it's pretty easy to just throw like that background table color on that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. There's high contrast, but it just feels quite constrained. But that might be a design element that we're thinking of. Because of the contrast, it could draw your eye to the email instead of tempting to wander about a bit. With images, it's just best practice to have an alt attribute, the alt text. So if people aren't loading the images, they know that there's something of relevance there. Try and keep live text if possible, where possible.
Do you think there's a percentage like between like a text ratio? I feel like people have talked about that in the past as well.
Well, the rule of thumb used to be a 70-30 split to text to image or image to text ratio. But with fashion brands and retail, it's mostly about the images. And I feel like that kind of ratio doesn't really apply much anymore. There's other things that, because that ratio was put into place to help avoid hitting the spam folder. Whereas emails nowadays, a good example is Nike, or Nike, however you prefer to pronounce it. Their emails are big images, yet they don't go into the spam folder. So I feel as though that kind of ratios, well, not dropped from existence, but it's not as relevant as it used to be. And yeah, so don't be afraid to use images, because it's said that images say 1,000 words, so to speak. So
true. I mean, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Like, hopefully, probably spend a lot of money to get all this professional photography done. So, you do sort of want to use it, in your marketing materials. So.
That's it, exactly. And what you want people to do is engage with your brand. So, having good punchy images that have good leading text or a good call to action will make people click through and want to interact with your brand more.
Cool. Thank you so much for jumping on.
No, thank you for the invite.